Okay, so I've got the TurboGrafx-16 Mini here. It just arrived in the mail. Excited to tear into this because I did not grow up with the TurboGrafx-16. I grew up with the Sega Genesis and SNES. In fact, let's take a look at my history with the TurboGrafx-16. Yeah, so as you can see, I don't really have much of a history with the TurboGrafx-16. So on the back here, you're going to see you've got all of your North American titles. Pretty excited to play R-Type and Alien Crush. I've heard really good things about both of them. Also excited to play Air Zonk and Blazing... is it Blazing Lasers? Yeah, Blazing Lasers. Then at the bottom here, you've got your PC Engine games. So unlike the NES Classic and SNES Classic, Konami's actually included both regions on the console, and you can switch between them. This is great because now I get to play Castlevania Rondo of Blood as it was meant to be played on the TurboGrafx-16. So pretty excited to tear into that and to take a look at that. Good selection of games. So let's do this. Just opened here. So here's the console itself, and that is the most mini console I think I've ever seen. This is gigantic. For comparison, here's my SNES Mini and my Sega Genesis Mini, and they both fit comfortably on top of this console. This thing is gigantic. Feels good. Looks like this back piece comes off, which I think is how it was on the original console. You had that back piece for a little bit of cable management. You got your port for your power adapter, and then the HDMI cable port, and 2 ports for the controllers, which is great because the original TurboGrafx only had the 1 port. You had to get a turbo port to get more controllers on there, but they've got 2 included right out of the box, which is exciting. And I think I'm putting this on wrong. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on right now. There we go. That's great. It's great. So you got your HDMI cable, and then you've got your controller here. Let's pull this off. And there is your turbo pad. It actually feels really good in the hands. That D-pad looked like it was flimsy and didn't look like it was going to be great, but it actually does feel good in your hands. You've also got your turbo switches, which is great because the PC Engine version in Japan does not have those turbo switches. That's nice to have that addition. That's going to make shooters a little bit easier to get through, so glad to have that. Buttons feel good. Like I said, that D-pad feels way better than I thought it would. I have no way of comparing this, because like I said, I didn't grow up with the TurboGrafx, so I don't know if it feels true to the original pad, but I gotta say, it feels good. Like, I like it a lot. It's like an NES controller, but even better, to be honest. So, excited to get into that, play some games. Feels substantial. Doesn't feel chintzy or cheap at all. I'm assuming that this is how the controller felt when it first came out. Then you got your power cable here. Of course, you'll notice that there isn't a power brick. They've decided not to include that with the TurboGrafx-16. I would cry foul on that, but I've got like 10 or 20 power bricks laying around that I could plug into this, and I kind of feel like at this point most people do. Like if you're buying a TurboGrafx-16 mini console, the odds are good that you've got a few power bricks laying around from old phones or tablets or whatnot. Yeah, like I said, the thing is big, but it feels great. And I love that the power switch actually has the little tab that would hold the hue cards on the original. I love those little attention to details. You get that a lot on the SNES Classic, but particularly on the Sega Genesis Mini, you had a good amount of detail. I do like the look of the console. If you look at the SNES, it looks like a toy. You know what I mean? Whereas the TurboGrafx-16 and I would say the Sega Genesis Mini, they look sleek, they look modern. Or at least what modern and sleek looked like in the late 80s, early 90s. So yeah, I think this looks great. I'm gonna tear into this, I'm gonna start playing games, and I'm gonna get a review of the console up. Now again, this is gonna be somewhat of a unique perspective because I have no history with the TurboGrafx-16, but I'm very excited to play it, very excited to get a review out to you guys. Let me know what you think. Are you thinking of picking up a TurboGrafx-16? Also, if you guys liked this video, go ahead and leave me a like, and you should subscribe. I've got all kinds of videos coming out. I mean, I do a lot of videos where I talk about junk, and then I do a lot of videos that are like just pure nostalgia, like sounds from the 90s and commercials from the 90s. So if that sounds like stuff you want to be a part of, you know, subscribe and ding that bell or whatever the hell I'm supposed to say here. You can expect a review of this within the next week. So on the docket, kind of looking forward, the next video will probably be a review of the TurboGrafx-16, depending on how long I take playing through the games. And then after that, a couple weeks back, I did a retrospective, kind of my journey in gaming, and I talked about my days playing the NES. I'm working on a video that's going to be my days playing the 16-bit consoles, namely the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis. So look forward to that. And then I've got another classic Clash in the works. My first one debuted and people seemed to like it. My first one, which was Super Mario World vs. Donkey Kong Country. My next one is I'm gonna be pitting two cartoons from the 90s against each other, both of which were about a fourth grader's everyday life. So here's a silhouette, and I bet you cannot guess what this is gonna be about. I'm kidding. If you can't guess that, what are you doing on this channel? I love you all, bye!